Well, hello there, and welcome to our second Provoke to Reason video review. I'm John Arthur Fiala, your host, and today we're going to be talking about Batman. And I'm joined by three guys on the couch: Mr. Steve,
Hello.
Danny Boy,
Howdy.
and Ryan.
Hello.
So, real quick, we're going to go through real quick and just go over our hot take reactions right out of the theater. These things change for me. I usually demote a movie out of the theater. Like I'll come out with a high, and a couple weeks go by, and I'll demote it. I'm saying 9 out of 10 is the feeling out of the theater. Had a very good energy. Is probably the most grounded Batman that I've seen. If there are some good values and morals here, Mr. Steve.
Yes, sir. Man,
Scale
good
1 to 10.
storyline, fantastic action. Man, stunts. Woo, good stunt action. Coordinators were good. Stuntmen were good. And I'll tell you, this is from one thing from an old man's perspective, from watching the old Batman from back in the 60s.
Sir.
Watching, the old Bruce Ward and, all of them boys back
Yes, sir.
then.
Adam West.
Adam West, you bet, and the old Catwoman and the old Joker and the Penguin. That was one of the things they left out on the Penguin I didn't appreciate.
Oh, I thought it was good.
It was a little laugh. Man, I was waiting. I'm sorry about this, guys, but I sure was waiting for the Penguin to do his laugh, and I got so disappointed.
Does that take a
Man,
point off your score?
that took 1 point off the score right there, Star. But I'd say a good solid 8, man, for sure. But yeah, worldview. There's a few things we could talk about on that.
Okay, so just to be clear, it was going to be a 9 out of 10, but because there was no penguin laugh, it's an
God, man, I was waiting for Penguin to laugh at.
Now
Never
that I
did.
think about it, I think I should lower my score.
No.
Man,
Keep going, Daniel.
No.
The Penguin's got a. That's
Oh my
just part of the
gosh.
Penguin, man.
Oh my
I think he
gosh.
did that in the Keaton Batman, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He did.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's done it in all of the
Absolutely
Batman movies except for this one.
he did. Even the Batman games,
Yes.
except for this one, which is what it is. But so my hot take, straight out of the theater for the second time. Let's not make it a third, because that's now 6 hours of my life I'm not getting back. No, but I'd say closer to an 8.5 or 9.
All right.
I'm leaning more towards 9.
And Ryan.
8 out of 10 as well. I think they made a lot of interesting, different decisions from other versions of Batman in the past that were
We got Mr.
Re-
Johnson
real-
going there.
really good decisions, and I love a good mystery, and this movie definitely provided, I think, a pretty good mystery.
Man, that's an interesting thought. I really was hoping to get like a better connection to the Riddler, but I guess it was fine that maybe it wasn't who you thought it was going to be. It's just no spoilers, but it was okay. It was okay. So we're going to try to be unspoilery, but we're going to go through the text, the subtext, and the worldview. If you watched our previous reviews, you know that we're looking at the text being the script, the subtext, the themes and morals, and of course, the worldview that produced the video or the movie that we're watching, the episode, etc. You don't. It's best not to eat something out of a bag until you look at the ingredients on the back. Why wouldn't you at least think about the ingredients you're consuming in media? So let's each go around and talk about a point that we thought was a good text, subtext, and then break down the worldview. I'd like to start off with mine. I really thought that they did a good job trying to balance the two sides of the corruption argument. Is capitalism inherently evil, or is it best to destroy the system in an anarchist sort of way? And it's a theme that Batman seems to often deal with in the comics and in the movies. And you have Bruce Wayne. Again, I'm going to try not to be too spoilery, but it comes to a point where he realizes that he has, in a sense, some culpability with some of the things that are happening in Gotham. and he has to change how he is interacting and what he's doing to become a better person. I thought that was really interesting, and part of that has to do with the way that his wealth is spent. Part of that has to do with his vigilanteism, and so and it's like a duality there. It's you have both, and I think that was really good. Also, on the opposite end of the spectrum, more on the anarchist or perhaps communist side, you have Selena Kyle, Catwoman. Although she's not really called Catwoman in the thing, I never caught the name. But Selena is literally telling Batman, "Let's go and kill some hedge fund babies and knock them off." And she's literally talking to Bruce Wayne underneath the mask, and she has no idea. So I thought that was pretty fun to watch because she's basically self-owning there and not realizing, like unfortunately, a lot of people with that worldview don't realize the gravity of what they're saying and what they're talking about. So I felt like that was kind of a fun it was a fun exploration of that naivete that produces that leftist worldview, even if it wasn't intentional. It came out. I thought that was a lot of fun. So moving on to Mr. Steve. What was a good text, subtext, and worldview moment for you?
I kind of like on a text subtext issue was the part where the political part versus the you have, say, one person that's running for in politics that's really has the correct idea on wanting to do good in politics. Okay. And then you've got the corrupt political, say, oligarchy, if you want to call them, that's working about under the
bureaucracy and the criminal element.
kind of where they're living under the umbrella of lots of money being paid to them for being correct, for doing what they're doing, to allow someone higher up in the
dirty
corrupt
DAs,
world
dirty cops,
so that they can siphon money off of what it was the person that they killed, which happened to be, the Batman's father. And, so you've got that storyline working right there while you've got her, this new person getting into politics, trying to run, while you've got the Riddler who doesn't believe that that's even possible because he firmly believes that politics is completely corrupt and everybody is corrupt, regardless.
He's a deconstructionist, if you will, someone who
Correct.
believes that we have to actually take apart. You could say that he's a critical theory guy, someone that actually believes that you have to take apart what's standing.
Kind of like a nihilist
exactly
kind of guy,
Full on nihilism, the belief that you have to tear down the institutions to be able to rebuild, and doing so violently is okay.
Correct.
So I thought that was interesting. Daniel.
Well, so just to kind of build off that a little bit, I did think at the end of the day, it did have a very good, well, I want to say very good, a good, like anti-corruption message behind it. You look at the end of the day, the Riddler's mission was to expose, these big politicians, these big criminal organizations to the rest of the city who was clueless. And I think, like, at the end of the day, he had good intentions in his heart.
No, he had terrible intentions, and it was all for the wrong reason. Because it was for himself. Because he felt bad. Because he was the one who missed out on
Wait. So you're telling me whenever I feel bad, I got to make everyone else feel bad too?
He gave. We all know who his father was, right?
So that right there, but you're not wrong. But he's trying to bring out the corruption, but for self-serving motivations and reasons. But his general premise that the corruption is evil this is a really good worldview moment, and this will play well for you. Just a moment if you want to build on this, but your worldview will determine how you interpret things that come to you. the thing I think was really interesting with the Riddler was that his worldview, his nihilistic worldview, interpreted instead of going through and individually prosecuting the people who were doing evil, individually taking them down, destroy the entire system and kill innocents while you're doing so, if
Correct.
that's what it takes to break it all down and rebuild it. By the way, you want to talk about nihilism? I mean, you think it's cool? Look at Adolf Hitler. Look at Stalin. Look at Mao. Look at Mussolini. That's what they believed. They believed.
No, but they took it the wrong way.
But they took so they took issues like human suffering, and their worldview interpreted the response to that in a way that was sick and ghastly. Although the issues that they wanted to solve were real, Hitler wanted to solve world hunger, starvation, poverty, sickness. Now he thought it would just be worth it to kill, a couple billion people by the end of it all, and then have the best genetics, so to speak, even though that's not the best genetics, it's junk science that he was using, and of course is morally reprehensible. But the purpose that he wanted, the thing that he wanted to do was not wrong, but the worldview, and that's where it really is interesting. It's a view on man, whereas you have Batman who sees the corruption, and he goes in and he intentionally excises it. So that goes to a good worldview. Does worldview it expound on that? How did worldview play a difference between Batman versus the Riddler?
Yeah. So, just a tiny spoiler. So the Riddler was very surprised whenever Batman was like, "Nah, fam, like that's not how I go about things. When have I ever killed anyone? When have I ever killed anyone in pursuit of justice, outside of a court of law? It's just whenever you think about vigilante justice from Batman's perspective, he is trying to bring crime down as much as he possibly can. In the beginning of the film, you see him explaining his mission and how he's going about it. I'm not going to expound on that anymore, just because spoilers. And then you contrast that with the Riddler. The Riddler is, at the end of the day, murdering people in pursuit of justice, but like John Arthur pointed out, for his own gain.
They're both doing kind of the same thing. They both have the same intention, but one is going about it. They're both going about it in different ways.
They want to solve the same problem.
Yes.
Yeah, and look at how the Riddler twists one of the scriptures from the Bible. And you think about it when he talks about the sins of the
Correct.
father.
And I was waiting for someone to pull that out. That's a
I could
low-hanging
tell
fruit.
on
That's
your
low-hanging
face.
fruit. I'm glad you pulled it out, because and that right there is really
Right.
interesting. How you actually view the authority of the scripture will dictate how you use it. That's kind of a cool
Correct.
a cool takeaway from that movie. But Ryan, text, subtext, and worldview behind it.
Well, I love the storyline, like I said, about how the Riddler and Batman they have the same intention. They both want to get rid of corruption, but they go about it in different ways. And I like seeing the opposing views and seeing them go up against each other, especially towards the end. And then I like the ending where Batman's told that he'll never be able to completely get rid of corruption or evil in the city. It's always going to be there, which is a message that we can apply to real life, because the same is true in real life, unfortunately.
But so
None are good, no, not one.
Yes, amen.
Yes.
But going to the worldview. So you've pulled the moral out. Now let's go to the worldview. What kind of worldview does that look like? Does that look similar to a Judeo-Christian worldview, saying that corruption will always be here? Ryan, I want you to think about this. Does that worldview, what does that say about the worldview of the writers? What sort of that moral?
I think it shows that the writers do understand human nature, that at our core, humans are selfish and evil and power hungry. And I think that message, you can clearly see and tell that that's what the writers and director thinks in this film. I think they convey it clearly.
I think so. So, just wrapping up in short, I think it was a good movie. I think, again, really good anti-corruption values there. Just make sure that I would avoid taking young children to it.
Mhm.
Most of it does
Yeah.
happen in a club or brothel, and there is latex-clad lap dancing type activity occurring. So it's not necessarily for young children, but ultimately, I would say Christian values ending up there, even though I don't really see a Christian morality in the worldview, but there is the underlying structure and understanding of what man is. Man is not innately good. Man is innately prone to evil.
And what's interesting is right at the beginning of the story, you hear the Batman talking about evil and how it likes the shadow. It hides in the shadow. And that's one of the things that in the Bible it talks about the darkness. Darkness cannot stand the light. Nothing can stand the light. Darkness cannot handle the light. That's why God is bright and light. God is light.
And
That's
a
interesting.
good, and that's a good model for how our law enforcement should be, how we should be. We shouldn't do things in the dark. We should be about doing business in the light. Ryan.
Correct.
Another thing I really liked at the end of the film, when Batman's told that there will always be corruption, always be evil, he'll never be able to completely save the city. Despite of that, he keeps going. He's not going to stop trying, no matter how hard it is, and no matter how dark or evil the world seems. We shouldn't let that discourage us, and we should keep going and try to make things better and show love towards people.
And I think that's a good thing to end on. Make sure that you're taking away the right things from the Batman. But I think the Batman was a pretty good movie. Primarily, I think the best takeaway is we should be about dispelling corruption. Jesus was about that in the temple with the money changers.
Right.
And we should be about bringing light and hope, not necessarily vengeance. And that's something that was really portrayed. It was almost a Christian worldview in the movie, almost, not quite, but it was very refreshing. I felt like it was a refreshing Batman, and it felt pretty grounded.
Just one thing I would like to say about the Penguin, though. He may not have had his laugh, but he had penguin shoes. I don't know if anybody noticed,
He did,
Oh,
but he wore
Yeah, he
penguin
did.
the penguin shoes. He had it, man. And I tell you, there's just something. I don't know. One thing I noticed right off on the Penguin,
He likes the
He
shoes.
had the penguin look,
Hey, is
but
your
he
favorite
didn't have
Batman
the
villain the
laugh.
Penguin?
He
Man,
didn't,
I
he didn't
think
have the
it
top
disappointed
hat or
me.
the monocle either.
Okay,
No.
so with that said, thank you so much for listening. If you have a favorite Batman villain, go ahead and put it in the comment section down below.
We all know Steve's.
And we all know Mr. Johnson's already. Okay, so we already know.
Yeah,
I bet it's the Joker.
Is yours the Joker, Ryan?
Oh gosh, that's hard. I'd have to think about it.
Okay. Well, think about it and put it in the comment section down below later and introduce yourself in the comments. With that said, thank you so much for joining us. This is our video number 2 that we're doing of this. Tell us if you like the long form or the short form version. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe. And if you didn't like it, smash that dislike button twice. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
One step closer. I have died every day waiting for you, darling. Don't be afraid. I have loved you for 1,000 years. I love you for 1,000 more.
Bye.
I'm vengeance.
Oh my gosh.